Okay, let's say the
our government was retrieving
chose
described in this
they were going to use me as an outlet to release this information. Let's just say they did that and they took me to a briefing.
To July of 1997,
then what, John?
Now famous
okay,
Roswell
we whisked you to, or they whisked you to Washington, D.C.,
already
get moved to this building, beautiful building. You go up to this room. Say, Art, you're the guy. If you give us the go-ahead, we're going to release everything we know to the public. And if you decide to go ahead, all major networks will be provided with information on all aspects of the cover-up. No type of information will be withheld because of the deal for immunity for all participants in the cover-up. Provides that nothing, no artifact, no piece of information be withheld.
Working with abductees.
So here's what happens.
So it's a global phenomenon.
And of course, this will call
extraterrestrials in a lot of cases could be mistaken as spirits.
Our first UFO recoveries were in the late 30s. We made a couple in the beginning of the 40s, and then came Roswell, which the public found out about. We got 2 live aliens from Roswell. One died shortly thereafter. One lived until 1956.
Humans.
And we found out that so far there are 18 different alien species that we know about monitoring Earth. Some are good, some are hostile.
The raw material that they need in order to create.
We found out that we're the experiment or product, if you will, of an alien race
same beings
who we never met and really don't know who they are. All we know is that the Greys are cybernetic organisms, glorified robots, if you will, who work here at the behest of their employers, monitoring us through
then there are the aliens that I call
we were never able to find out what the experiment is all about, except that we have been externally corrected about 65 times, and the aliens refer to us as containers. There's been speculation that the souls our bodies contain is the reason for the experiment, but nothing has been proven or determined.
From the alien point of view.
Since 1938, we have lost
my own feeling is it's very
to
difficult to think like an alien. We don't know the answer to that question. We can only make educated guesses.
Since that time, several hundred
it does seem that some of the so-called aliens are conducting genetic experiments. It does seem as if
which we could ill afford to have
human women especially are being impregnated, but
human mutilations
human men are also
similar to the cattle
taken, abducted,
in that the humans
and sperm samples are taken from these men.
Taken from the street, so to speak, and returned to the same area about 45 minutes to an hour later, with their rectums poured out, their genitals removed, their eyes removed from their sockets, and completely drained of blood. In all cases, it appears the mutilation procedures occurred while the persons were still alive and conscious.
On April 9, 1983,
One of our scientists
speculated
that apparently the human specimens had to be alive for the samples to be worth anything. Abductions occur on a daily basis throughout the United States to at least 10% of the population. And when we first became aware of this, we protested to the little gray being that we held in the captivity at the YY-2 facility at Los Alamos. But a deal was struck that in exchange for advanced technology from the aliens, we would allow them to abduct a very small number of persons, and we would be periodically given a list of those persons abducted. We got something less than the technology we bargained for, and found that the abductions exceeded by a millionfold what we had naively agreed to. In 1954, President Eisenhower met with a representative of another alien species at the Muroc Test Center, which is now called Edwards Air Force Base. This alien suggested that they could help us get rid of the Greys, but Eisenhower turned down their offer because they offered no technology. At this point, it became apparent to all involved that there was no such thing as a God, at least as the public perceives God. Certainly some kind of computer recorder stores information, and an occasional miracle is displayed by the aliens to influence a religious event. So this so unnerved Eisenhower that he had "In God We Trust"
that their interaction
money
with
and coins
had
and put
involved
into the Pledge
life-saving
of Allegiance
projects,
to
harvesting
reaffirm the public
projects,
belief in
mining
God.
projects, a whole series
Shortly
of
after
things.
this, it was determined at meetings
there was a
between the
sentence
U.S.
that
and
said,
Russians that the situation
these
was serious
extraterrestrials
enough that a
manipulated
Cold War should
DNA
be manufactured
already
as a
evolving
ruse
primates
to divert attention of
to
the
create
public
Homo sapiens.
away from UFOs and
I
towards
remember
some
reading
other
that
scary
sentence
threat,
over
the
and over
H-bomb.
and over
It was also
thinking
decided
about
to keep the ruse secret from any elected or
and another
appointed
sentence
officials
in that
within
paper
both
that
the
said,
U.S. and Russian government, as long
all
as
questions and
as it took
mysteries
so
about
long
the
to vet
evolution of Homo
these
sapien on this
officials,
planet have been
and the ruse
answered
was
as
easier to
projects
manage if the
closed.
top people didn't know about it.
All
In the late
questions and
1950s,
mysteries
NASA
about
was
the
formed to
evolution
compartmentalize,
of the human species
containerize,
have
and
been answered.
sanitize information
Government
from
has
all
closed
space
a
platforms and
project
vehicles.
inquiring
We
into
sold NASA to the public, claiming that all information would belong to them. Actually, they got very little, and even that was highly sanitized. Our first efforts were to keep the public from learning about Venus, and that it's a similar planet to Earth, and that its population is very similar to us, but more technologically advanced. We have learned a lot from them. Starting with the Russian Venera 1 and U.S. Mariner 2, we made Venus look like a lead-melting volcanic surface spewing sulfuric acid into a pressurized atmosphere 90 times that of Earth. And was often the case, we overdid it and wondered why no one ever asked how a parachute survived a descent into 800-degree air. We set up operations in Pine Gap, Australia to preclude any prying eyes trying to figure out what we were up to. We regularly eliminated, through extreme prejudice, anybody who was part of the operation and made the least little tiny threat about disclosure or satisfaction with the operation. Any space mission that included Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, Mariner, Voyager, Clementine, and all the rest, all data initially came transmitted to Pine Gap, and then it was relayed to JPL or wherever after the sanitizing. We had a little trouble with amateur radio operators, but we figured out when they figured out how they could intercept these signals, but we managed to deal with that. When the Russian threat began to fade, we introduced Vietnam, which kept the public occupied for over 10 years. The cover-up and the personnel to run the operation began to get bigger and bigger and required more and more money. We were forced to inflate the defense budget, which soon was not enough. Then we got into the drug business, which was still not enough. We were the ones that looted the savings and loan industry and Wall Street to boot. It is so out of control now, most people want immunity and want out. But there is so much secrecy and so many double and triple blinds in place that it is unlikely that this thing can ever be dismantled. And even if you give us the go-ahead to spill the beans to the public, it's unlikely they will get anything more than, yes, we recovered a flying saucer, and yes, there was an occupant, but that's all we're going to tell you. So go ahead and roll the tape for Mr. Bell. What you see here, Art, are the human mutilations look like. That one was a male about 27 years old. Now that film is of dead aliens being pulled from the wreckage of their craft that crashed in Atlanta, California in the 50s. That craft you see over there was over 250 feet in diameter and had to be buried on the spot. That site is in Utah near Dugway Proving Grounds. The object that you're looking at now is the Kecksburg acorn, which was brought to Wright Pat in the middle 60s. There's Frank Drake trying to force information out of a being tied down to that stretcher. He was supposedly from Tau Ceti. These pictures you're looking at now are the structures on the moon. That's the tower in Sinus Medai. It's over 7 miles tall. And that thing there is what we call the Colossus of Agurum in Mare Crisium. We don't know what it does, but the machine itself is bigger than Brooklyn, New York. Now, those are videos of the domes covering the craters. You can see that some are in a very advanced state of decay. Now, these are 5-second slides of the 18 different alien species we are looking at. That one there is the most gruesome looking. The guards at one facility are carefully indoctrinated over a period of several months, being shown pictures similar to, but not exactly like the alien. Only when they have been acclimatized, so to speak, of the horrible-looking beings are they allowed to stand in security positions. Before these acclimatations were done, we had 2 guards die of a heart attack as these aliens came down the hallway unexpectedly. And this last clip is of the Kennedy assassination. You've heard of the second gunman theory. Well, this is the second camera that recorded exactly what happened. We had 4 gunmen. And the bottom line was Kennedy had to go. He insisted on releasing what little alien information we had told him about, and he was trying to withdraw troops from Vietnam, which we were using as a diversion for the public. After the Kennedy, we never told any president anything. Nixon knew because he was briefed as VP in 1952. That's how he knew where to take Jackie Gleason to Homestead Air Force Base to see the alien bodies we had storage there. And that's about it. What say you, Art Bell? Can we brief the public, yay or nay?